Welcome to the Legally on the Move Festival of Entrepreneurs mini-series, recording live here from the Birmingham NEC. We are going to be diving into some of the sharpest minds across the UK, some of the top CEOs, some of the top cutting-edge businesses for an exciting, fast-paced series. So stay tuned, get excited, and looking forward to delivering even more from the show. Welcome to the Legally Speaking podcast, recording live here at the Festival of Entrepreneurs. And I am joined by name, title, and organisation.
Mr. Trey Lowe, and I'm the founder of Sobo Club. And most people probably know me as well from Body Groove, make the body move, you got to let the body... I'm actually shattered, I can't believe I'm singing that song, but hey.
One of my favourite tunes growing up. So it's a real pleasure to actually finally be doing this. And why I wanted to talk to you today is because we connected on Clubhouse. And it's amazing how so many people from that era are here today.
It's great. It's like a family reunion a little bit.
It is. And it's been a huge year for you in terms of all things entrepreneurial, personally. Just tell us a little bit about your sort of entrepreneurial journey.
Oh my God, this year has been crazy. I mean, probably going back to the last year or two. I mean, The Apprentice, which is crazy. I've come from the music business, ended up on BBC The Apprentice, which was amazing. It was a crazy journey in some ways, because what preceded that was the death of my brother in 2020, which really changed things for me. Before, if he had in the past, I probably would never have gone on a TV show. But after he passed, I looked at the world from a point of view of, I don't know how much time I've got.
Yeah.
And I really want to make a difference. And I've always been the biggest fan of Lord Sugar, and the opportunity came up. I'm like, I've got to get on it. I've got some great business ideas, and I really want to get a chance to be able to pitch in front of the interviewers, which is a scary process. And yeah, it's been great. So I did The Apprentice. To see me, I got married.
Yes.
Had a child this year, and I'm 50. So you could probably see the bags under my eyes. I've just been going 100 miles an hour. Like I say, I look at life like each day is a blessing. I have no idea how long I've got, so I want to do as much as I can in the time that I've got. And my fundamental thing is I really want to make a difference in as many lives as possible. So yeah, it's been a busy period for me.
And that's why we're grateful for you coming on a legal show. But I love your attitude of gratitude. And so I guess taking you back to the music industry, because we have a lot of people in and around the legal world listen to this. I want to talk about like copyrights, IP, and challenges you probably had back in the day when it comes to Body Groove. If people are thinking about releasing music now, what are some of the things they might be needing to think about to ensure that maybe they don't make some of the mistakes you may have did back then?
Wow. I mean, our first record, actually, I want to say this. I don't know how the world has changed, but our actual first big hit record was a Brandy and Monica, The Boy Is Mine.
Yeah.
And it was a bootleg. Back then, we actually made a lot of money. I can admit it now, because it was 27 years ago. No one's going to sue us. But we made a ton of money of selling it white label, something you can't do. So the equivalent of nowadays is just put it out there, because what you will be selling is your name.
Yeah.
So I do want to start there. And I know, obviously, you're a legal channel, but I think for the creators out there, don't let legality within reason stop your creativity.
Yeah.
Because what happened in our case is the record label, rather than sue us, which they had a perfect right to do, ended up partnering with us, because we took that track and actually made it popular and made it go back to number one. And the record label rep in the UK became one of our managers. So never be afraid to push the grain, I would say, number one. But then legally speaking, I think if you're an artist, and it could be in any field really, make sure that you've got your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
Yeah.
Make sure you understand your paperwork. Make sure you've got a bloody good lawyer that's advising you, because that could bite you on the bum years later.
Yeah.
Make sure you've also got a lawyer that's pushing for you, because 3 points is not as good as 7 points, for instance, you know, and on your own, you might think, I'm just going to sign a deal because it's a deal.
Yeah.
And you might end up signing a lousy deal, a 360 deal, which for those that don't know means that they own everything you do. In our case, back in our days, it would be like you do a separate publishing deal, separate record deal, then your merchandise and everything else you could do separately. Now, they sign a lot of artists 360, which means they own everything you do. If you can be independent, be independent. Try and do a distribution deal. If you're bloody good musician or whatever creative, try and own your IP, your intellectual property, and license it out rather than sell it. So in our case, Body Groove, we gave it to the record label, which is Universal, and it seemed like a lot of money at then, but they own that record for your whole life plus 50 years, I believe.
Right.
Which is a long time to own something that you've created. So just be careful about what you're signing legally. Make sure it really works for you 10 years from now, rather than I need the money, I need it really right now. So I just think be careful about what you're signing.
Yeah,
and get a good lawyer.
Very sage advice.
Yeah.
And I guess just to break it down for people then, say if Body Groove and royalties in how that works. So if with what you've done, if Body Groove is played on the radio or elsewhere now, what does that mean from a royalty perspective for you?
So nothing or something. That means a lot. My God, we get a ton of royalties for that record. So basically royalties are split in two. You got the mechanical royalties, which the record label owes. That's the actual master, the recording. And then you got the publishing side of it. And they're split in two. So in our case, the publishing is something that's renewed every 5 to 7 years, and Sony owns it. From the recording point of view, Universal owns it. But another thing to point out, actually, they own that physical recording, but you can get it recorded again.
Right.
You can get it recorded so faithfully to the original that to a normal person, they wouldn't know. But in that case, you would own the actual mechanical right. Because publishing tends to be renewed and not owned forever, whereas the physical master side tends to be owned forever. I don't know what the deals are nowadays, but that's certainly what it was in my days. So yeah, the royalties will come from those two angles. One will be from the publishing side, one's from the mastering side. The royalties are not as much as it used to be in my days, though. So say, for instance, you're on, like Body Groove, it's probably streamed over 100 million across all the DSPs.
Yeah.
And say from Spotify, you only get something like $5,000 for 1 million streams.
Wow.
Which is not much.
Not much.
So you see what I mean when I say if you own your copyright, you're now getting near 100%. Obviously, they're going to get a little cut. Versus in our case, I think we own 16% of it. So you're getting 16% of whatever that $5,000 is. If you got a big enough record, sure, if you're Taylor Swift, happy days.
Yeah.
But nowadays, not so much, you know? So that's how royalties works.
No, I really appreciate that. And a lot of people in the legal industry are creatives themselves. And actually, they have lots of things that they're building, be it podcast channels, be it media options, whatever it might be. So it's really good advice. Okay, now I want to talk about The Apprentice, because you've been through that. And again, lots of lawyers or people who are legal tech entrepreneurs, people in there. How did you get on it? And again, you did a talk on it. Give us some top tips if people do want to get on it.
So I ended up on The Apprentice because, like I said, my brother passed away. And I really wanted to make a difference. I had this idea for a shop that would impact men, that would promote testosterone.
Yeah.
Because modern men's testosterone levels are falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
And there are so many environmental reasons and lifestyle reasons and modern reasons for why that is. So I had this business idea anyway. My wife actually applied for the show. And something in me just said, Trey, you need to apply as well. And it's weird, right? Because going back to Body Groove, if you ever watch the video for Body Groove, you'll notice that me and my brother are in the background. But it's actually my brother's voice on that track. But he didn't want to actually be on the video. So I had to get someone in because he refused and then I refused. Because we weren't into fame.
Right.
Like back in our days, fame wasn't as big as it is now in terms of a pool. So my thing was, oh my God, I'm going to go on TV. I love the show. I love Lord Sugar, one of my biggest idols. But my God, I'm going to have to be on TV. But because my brother passed, I'm like, no, I now want to be on TV because of the leverage that you get. Because I am someone who wants to be a recognizable face that makes a difference.
Yeah.
So leverage was everything to me. So I went and auditioned and I thought to myself, the minute they know I've done Body Groove and I can come across competent enough, they're going to be like, oh my God. And I learned actually later that the producer did punch the air when I walked in because he's thinking, how is it a guy that did Body Groove has walked in to The Apprentice? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Such an iconic track, though.
Yeah, but it just doesn't make sense. They've never had a musician on the show.
Right, okay.
And I'm the oldest person that's ever been on that show as far as I know. Wow. Not that anyone talks about it because nobody says I look my age. Like, black don't crack. It's one of those things. But it was just a sense of purpose. Like, I was like, right, I need to get as many eyeballs as possible.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite shows. It's not a typical reality TV show. As far as I'm concerned, I see it more as a business show than a reality TV show. And I'm like, yeah, let me go for it. And, you know, luckily I ended up all the way in the final 5. But because of the short notice nature that I went on it, I didn't have enough time to flesh out the business idea. So I knew I'd probably get to the finals because I'm so bloody competitive.
Yeah.
But I thought if I do get there, I won't be able to win it, but the advice I'd get from the advisors would be priceless, and it really was. Because everything was like, okay, the product idea that you've got is rubbish, but you as a person would invest in you all day long. And I think that's great, you know, it's a great endorsement.
Absolutely. And
the advice I'd give to people is really go for it, actually.
Okay.
I'd say go for it, but be yourself, because some people go in there and try and be a bit performative and try and be larger than life and something that they're not because they think that's what they see on the show. I would say, no, be yourself. Just be yourself, but turn up the dial on yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't be a shrinking violet, like really go for it.
No, I love that. And we're actually recording in Black History Month, and it's something that we do a lot to support, actually. We've had one of the world's first rappers and lawyers come onto the show. We've had some of the top presidents of the Law Society and incredible people, and we're real allies and try to support and really encourage diversity, equity, inclusion. So I guess from your own perspective, in terms of going through multiple industries, property, music, etc., what do you think more could be done to support Black emerging talent coming through?
I'm glad you say that, right? Because I also have a show on a political show, a weekly show, Saturdays, 6 to 9, I'm going to plug it, on GB News. And GB News is a channel that does skew towards the right, and I'm very much centred politically and socially. And I'm glad you say that, because I think we're now in the sort of Trump era where people are like, DEI is dead and DEI is wrong, and people just assume if they see a black face, you're probably not qualified, you're only there because you're a DEI hire.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
So first of all, I just want to say that I think there should be more encouragement of diversity, but with competency. Don't just put someone in that's not good, because they do the whole movement a disservice. But I think the thing I like about diversity is you got diversity of ideas and diversity of creativity. You know, if I look at, say, our journey musically, that was an amalgamation of growing up Nigerian in a West Indian neighborhood with all of the myriad of cultures in my neighborhood, which is Notting Hill. So it's something that diversity brings, whether it's ethnic diversity, religious diversity, it could be gender diversity. It adds a richness that otherwise wouldn't be there, because the old world was a much more sort of male, pale, stale sort of world, and also socially, economically, much more of an Oxbridge type world where, you know, mama and papa, and they handed it on, and you didn't get much creativity. I mean, can you imagine hip hop existing in a world that was as rigid as that, right?
Yeah.
And I think I love the fact that you're starting to see it in all sorts of spaces, even in banking and stuff like that. So I'm really encouraging of the DEI in and of itself. I just think it's great, but as long as it's not performative. I think there are a lot of organizations that talk about it but don't really do it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of organizations now that are scaling back, because obviously whatever happens in America, you know, America sneezes, we catch a cold, so people are starting to dial back on it. And I think that's really, really sad. And I think for people of color or from sort of, you know, genders that are marginalized or underrepresented, like women, for instance, in the FTSE 100, there's not many women at CEO, C-suite levels. I think really lean into being better than you even need to be.
Yeah.
And it sounds crazy when I say that, because I grew up in a culture, a Nigerian culture, where it was before the woke era, and I hate using that term, but for want of a better word, I didn't have this sense of complaining because I was black or it's not fair.
Yeah.
I grew up in a culture where my dad said to me, you've got to work 3 times harder because you're black. And I think that's becoming more true now as people are starting to dial back on DEI. I think be bloody good.
Yeah.
Be as amazing as you can be. But I think do more in terms of organize more, be seen more. Like, that's why I've gone to The Apprentice. Be known more, become so attractive, almost as your own personal brand, that people want to work with you. And I think that's one of the biggest advantages of being someone of color or someone that's not the norm in whatever industry you are. People remember you.
Yeah.
So if I walk into a space, like me even here, like there's not that many black faces, I love that.
Yeah.
I don't feel intimidated by it. I love it. Why? Because people are going to remember me. Of course. So I think lean into that strength. Don't lean into the fact that I'm a minority and it's going to be harder. I think it's going to be easier.
Yeah.
I actually think I have a massive advantage growing up with this sense of you've got to work 3 times harder and being fully self-expressed in my self-identity. I'm very proud of it. And just, going for it. I have a crazy amount of confidence. Crazy.
Love it. Yeah,
Hope that answers your question. Barely any sleep, so I'm trying to keep it all in my head. That's the problem being a new dad. It's like, it's no sleep.
And the key point about it is, if you're not visible, you're almost invisible in the world we live in nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's a really key
But another thing to add to that, though, be of service, though. So when I say be visible, don't do the whole ego. It's not about you.
Yeah, serve with people.
So be of service. My thing, I want to be known. I don't want to say famous because it's a stupid word for that percent, but I want to be known, because the more known I am, the more I can disseminate all of my ideas. And my ideas, I believe, are to make people great at what they do and who they are. And I think if you're like that, that's why nothing will get in my way. Because I don't care how many times I fail, because it's not for me. I really want to make a difference, because, like I say, after my brother died, I don't know how long I've got. And I want people to remember me as Trey was that kind of person that wanted you to be your best and do well. That's why I want to be known.
I love that. And my late grandfather used to say to me, live respected, die regretted. And I remember saying to people when I deliver talks is, if you want to be known, create. But if you want to be trusted, educate. And so what we try and do with everything here is we're trying to educate people, right? And you build that trust and that voice of authority, and then you can go out there and do great things. Trey, it's amazing. But you cut across so many different industries.
Yeah.
And, you're successful entrepreneur, what are some of the traits you look for when either business partners or employing people, or again, people who might be thinking of going on an entrepreneurial journey? What are some of the traits you look for?
I think generosity, like what I just said, it's not about me.
Okay.
That's what I loved about the Apprentice. I think even to this day, I get stopped all the time. I was not expecting that. And it's not just stopped like Love Island. Oh my God, you want a show? It's stopped like, Trey, you inspired me.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't necessarily set out consciously to be, let me be inspirational, because then that's like an inauthenticity. I was just being me.
Yeah.
And who I am naturally, someone that wants to give. I want to pour into other people. It doesn't mean I don't want to compete against you and smash the hell out of you.
Of course.
But I want you to also be your best. So I look out for qualities of real contribution, generosity. I like people who want to make a difference. Like I talk a lot about Ubuntu, and a lot of people don't know what that means, but it's this African philosophy of if I win, you win. And someone else said something else to me. It was a new concept, which is radical collaboration. That's why I'm doing it here with you. Yeah. I'm not someone thinking, I'm too big, or I'm doing that, or mate, are you going to pay me? What are you going to do? Who do you think you are? My thing is no. I think be someone that radically collaborates with other people, especially when there's congruency.
Yeah.
Right? Collaborate where, you know what, I want you to really win. Because even from a business point of view, people never forget that. Because they always remember how you made them feel.
Exactly.
So I'm a big networker, and one of my companies, Sober Club, is all about networking. People always remember that. So when you're doing business, people always come back to you. So I look out for people who want to contribute, people who have a purpose and a vision beyond them. I love people who generally think about their contribution as what they're going to do is going to reverberate through time. And I said that on The Apprentice. And there's no accident that me and my brother ended up being musicians. Why? Because music reverberates through time. It's the biggest contribution. Yeah. I've gone through, can I swear on this, or can I talk how I want? Probably not. Okay. I went through a lot of shit in my life medically, and I deal with a lot of different medical conditions, one of which is severe tinnitus. And one of my biggest heroes is Beethoven, because when he did the Ninth Symphony, he had to be turned around by the audience because he couldn't even hear. So even without realizing, in fact he did, because he talked about it in his diaries, he always had a lot of suicidal ideation, and I've gone through that myself with my health. But he recognized that his contribution was bigger than him.
Yeah.
So there I was, 170 years later, this young kid in Notting Hill, going through the most horrendous suffering with tinnitus and other health conditions, thinking sometimes, you know what, maybe I've got to jump off a building. His legacy fed into me. And without those kind of people pouring into me, I may not be here. So I love people that think about their contribution as reverberating through time. Steve Jobs is another one. I mean, all of us in our pockets has Steve Jobs' legacy.
Yeah.
I love that. So I like people who think beyond themselves. How am I going to actually have a positive impact on society? Which is why I do the news channel that I do, because I want to impact the world. I see the way the country's going. I want to be part of that conversation, especially now with a young son. So those traits, generosity, integrity, even things like just aliveness and alacrity. People who are like alive, like you've got that. Look at you're in red. You got
everything's energy. Yeah,
everything's energy. I love the whole energy of people who have this positive spirit. People who are negative, I run away from them. I'm like, no, don't infect me with that stuff. It's you've got radiators or drains. Yeah,
be around those radiators.
Some people are drainers. And another thing, I think I showed you this, right? I always walk around with this, right? When I'm going to go talk. Joe, I walk around with this. Why do I walk around with a rolled up toothpaste when I'm going to speak and do an event like this? What does this signify?
You want to look on point?
No.
Excellent.
So you know what's weird about this, right? We have more reverence for this little tube of toothpaste than we have for our life. What does it signify? I grew up crazy poor in Notting Hill. My dad on paper was a very wealthy man, but in practice he was poor because he was in property and he never let out his property. But that's a different story for another day, right? But we used to roll up the toothpaste, right? We wanted to squeeze everything out. Most people don't live life like this.
I love that.
This is my analogy of, and that's why when people think, oh, Trey, you've gone from music to this. I believe in the power of reinvention. You've always got something left to give. You said it earlier, I think. You said it about your granddad, right? Most people they've done surveys of at the end of life, you know what they regret? They regret what they didn't do, not what they did do. So this is my reminder always to keep squeezing out every bit of talent, every bit of purpose, every bit of service. Because if we can do it for bloody toothpaste, and everyone every morning uses this, why do we leave so much? And so many people leave so much left to give. Oh no, I'm going to start that business then. I'm going to marry that person then. I'm going to leave this bloody corporate job then. No, do it now.
Yeah.
Squeeze everything you can. And most people are too terrified because they're worried about failure. Yep. Maybe they're worried about success, which was my brother's issue. But no, I want to squeeze every single drop that I've got. Because someone listening, maybe even to this podcast, just like I was inspired by Beethoven, they might be inspired by me. So I want to keep squeezing out everything I've got. in service of other people, and it's so important.
I love that. And it's not one day, it's day one, right? It's taking action straight away.
Exactly.
I love that. And to your point earlier about, collaborating with people, we talk a lot about collaboration as domination and actually coming together with other people, like we is greater than me. And I just love your whole mindset and mantra. So with that and supporting one another, where can people go to find out more about what you're working on, and tell our listeners where they can find out more and support you?
So guys, you can find me at Trey Lowe, and that is on LinkedIn, it's at Trey Lowe, on Instagram is at Trey Lowe, I think on Facebook it's at Trey Lowe, and trust me guys, I've got people that will look through my all of my socials, and I'll definitely get any message that you guys send. But you can also go to soboclub.com as well and find out about our networking, events and training company, and that is soboclub.com. And at the moment we've actually got an amazing training that's training people how to do this. It's a speaker's training, because most people's biggest fear other than death is this, holding a mic. And I really want people to get used to holding a mic and sharing their story, because, like when I was in the depths of hell, I relied on people who'd shared their story to keep me going. So whoever you are, you've got a story, there's something you've got in you that's going to inspire, perhaps even save someone's life. Never be afraid to hold this mic and share your story. So yeah, that's where you can find me, and that's my company, soboclub.com.
Inspirational, amazing. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. It's so great to finally meet you in person after all these years.
Thank you for the difference you make as well. Thank you.
We appreciate that. So here we have it, folks. Wrapping up the Legally Speaking podcast live at the Festival of Entrepreneurs, but from Trey and the iconic Body Groove, for now, over and out. Good morning, everybody. Today, we are talking about who supports the CEO. So my name is Rob Hanna. I'm founder of KC Partners. I'm also the host of the Legally Speaking podcast, which is the #1 podcast for law in the UK, ranked in the top 1% of shows in the world. And we're sponsored by an organization called Clio, which is a legal tech business with a $3 billion valuation. I'm joined by a star-studded panel today. I'm going to go from left to right for some short introductions, and then I'm going to get into today's discussion. So please finally introduce yourself.
Right. I'm Darren O'Reilly, and I'm the co-founder of Pulse-Up. Pulse-Up is a high-protein superfood shake. Basically, what our philosophy is, when your foundation is strong, your potential is unlimited, and that starts with nutrition. So what we want to do is create a formulation that can support people on their busiest days. We've been nominated our name Food and Drink Startup of the Year, and in a short period of time, we've shipped over 450,000 meals across the UK and Ireland, and then to about 28 other countries around the world.
Hello everyone, so my name is Petru. I'm leading this statistics. We are the world's largest CEO care advisory and coaching business.
Good morning everyone, I'm Raj, CEO, co-founder of Hydro. Our products enable athletes at all levels to recover faster and perform better. We work with 300 pro sport teams across the world, including some of the greatest athletes on this planet. On planet, we actually worked with NASA and SpaceX on 2 missions so far.
Good morning, everybody. Ida Bevin. I'm the CEO and founder for Atterbury,
the network with a neuromontic chip, which is AI on the chip. And we monitor major infrastructures like tunnels, bridges, anything that human use this basically have a big infrastructure. We actually monitor, so we monitor the Crossrail, Tideway, Australian tunnels and automails, Singapore Jog flyover, and we make sure things doesn't collapse basically. So we provide a huge amount of data, and that data helps engineers to make a decision. They get them not just data, it's actually a prediction as well, how things are going during that construction.
So there we have it, folks. From looking after bodies to looking after bridges, everything in between. That's what I love about events like this, such diversity of business interests, such interesting things we can learn from startup founders and entrepreneurs. We're going to start from sort of solo founder to supported leader. I'll come to you first, Roz, actually, because you left the career in banking, very successful one, to build your business. We're now used by, as you mentioned, over 100 elite sports teams. So what was the first moment you realised you couldn't do it alone as a CEO?
Yeah, so I think from day one, to be honest, and actually I'm not a solo founder, I'm a co-founder actually, and I've got so much respect for anyone who's a solo founder of a business because it's so hard to do on your own. And one piece of advice would be, if you are starting any aspiring founder here, would be to find co-founders. It amplifies your network, the amount of work you do, people can live and breathing and bleeding it with you as well. And then from a CEO's perspective, so the way I have co-founders, I'm still the CEO, so they have different roles in there. So my job is very different as well to theirs. We're operating from a blue ocean environment where no one's done what we've done before, you're constantly seeing challenges and issues that you've no idea what to do. And so you often another problem today, which you'll find a solution for tomorrow, I've got to find that, and it's not going to all come from me. So I really value kind of collective intelligence around me, and that can be in the core team, that can be advisors, that could be coaches. And if my job really, the CEO, is to leverage for intelligence, ask the right question, and pull it together with expertise in different areas, particularly where I'm weak in. So, for example, I have a lot of people in marketing DR. That's not something that comes naturally to me. That I can leverage for expertise, and that will help me find solutions going forward.
Love that. And I said it yesterday, we is greater than me. I think you could come together, as we're talking about in terms of co-founders, super powerful. Neck, I'd love to come to you because, you know, the Steve Sports Center, 45,000 plus leaders globally. So from your perspective, why do great CEOs need strong advisory and peer networks to avoid isolation?
Thank you. So even as a co-founder, I can say you're out there on your own. You don't have all the answers. And I think reading how great CEOs have the humility to know that. They have that growth mindset, and they really want to go out and seek advice and perspectives from a diverse route of peers, quite frankly. And that's exactly what we do. Essentially, we bring together those CEOs from non-meeting businesses and create that safe space where they can, kind of strategize with other people who don't have any vested interest in their business, quite frankly, other than just supporting another fellow leader.
It's that sense of community as well, I feel. And, I said it yesterday, you're only one connection away from potentially changing your life, maybe your business, maybe your aspirations. They can unlock that piece of gold. Darren and I was talking about actually the core coming on stage. But I'm coming to you, Darren, as a former sort of very successful professional rugby player turned co-founder. What parallels do you see between needing a support team going your business, basically?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the parallels are massive. So I've been fortunate enough to be kind of coached and managed by some of the best coaches around. Is Mike Ruddock, Conor O'Shea, but they always did bring in outside support to give examples of teamwork. And then by getting a great team, not one individual wins, but you all win collectively or you all lose collectively. So when we look at building culture, and like the word culture you're bandied around a lot, particularly in startup, what you really want to be able to do is harness the right behavior patterns, understand what intrinsically motivates people to be the best self version of themselves. So for example, some people are really motivated by the flexibility of the time. So if they have a young family, you've been able to come in a little later for the office or leave a little earlier, but log on and maybe do that work last. Other people, it's all around money. Other people, it's around promotion and being able to do that. So if you understand what motivates individuals and then give them the freedom to run whatever area their business is, like what you said, or so certain areas of business, I am definitely not the right person to be doing it, but you need to be able to give people freedom and motivation to be able to take complete ownership. And that's how you build the right team around it and also the right environment.
And it shows that you genuinely care. I think they're not just a number, they're a person. And they change. So from my own perspective, having a legal headhunting business, we don't say we place somebody once, we place them for life. And maybe when they first start, they are interested in the money. Maybe they are prepared to do the hours. Maybe family life comes along and they're looking for that little bit more flexibility. And as an organization, if people stay with you, you need to understand that they're top priority actually at the moment versus maybe what's on the dial. And that improves retention, it just improves the overall culture, it's just win-win all round. Okay, Heba, as, again, a founder yourself, when did you realize you needed help?
Well, I wish actually somebody in a Drash told me that you need another founder, because I am a sole founder, and I founded the business 12 years ago. But I was very fortunate, from the age of 18, as an engineer, actually worked in a NASA company, ARM, which is very successful in terms of chip design and app designs and work with amazing engineers throughout to actually help an architect what Cortex people uses today in their phones. And I think the major things for me is always we needed people to connect and people to advise us and to lead us in a certain way. And it doesn't matter from your family, which is they probably don't understand exactly what you're doing to people around you. But somebody is like Tudor Brown, which is the founder of ARM, I'm still in touch with him. He advised me on regular basis. Professors that during the universities that I worked with, like Andy Turrell and as well David Cardwell, David Howard, they've been
really there for me when we had some technical challenges and need certain people in the company from technicality. And it's strategically, you look for at, as you said, this basically where the holes, where the lacks, and you're trying to put a really good team around you to help out in strategic decisions and critical decisions and when you take it. And I'll say I've always hired people who are better than me and they understand things that I don't understand. Because you need really different people around you. So your team is a core, and having the right team is a crucial.
Yeah, and that leads nicely onto the next part of the discussion, which is the right kind of support, because advice is great, but bad advice is actually devastating. And I'm talking from experience, and I say specific is terrific. So, Raj, at Hydro, and scientific rigor, credibility, absolutely key to what you're about. So, how do you choose the right advisors and experts to support you? So, I think again, it's that point about understanding the gaps that you have in your kind of own team and your own knowledge, but also finding the right people is often like the hiring is kind of fraught with difficulty as well. And one of the things that we do is firstly look to our own network for the relevant individuals, so we have kind of referral to that. And then what we'd like to do at Hydro is also almost try before we buy. So can you work with them for a short period of time, be how they fit in? Because lots of people come to startups, especially when you're see your high growth, saying, we can take you to the next level, we can do this, and we want 1% of the business. And it's like, you don't know what outcome's going to come from working with them. So we often have a period of time of working together before we commit. And actually what we've seen is a lot of our advisors that start up invest in, so they're a great way to start as well. So they actually really believe in what we're doing. They've got money into the business. We then work with them for a bit. And actually our chief strategy officer at the moment, she started as just an investor. And that's a great way to go.
Yeah, and they've got skin in the game, and when it's the bad times, they still care. They don't go run it because they're invested in it, and I think that's important. Okay, Rebecca, coming to you, you launched the scale, Tons of Brown, it's very successful, chief and now obviously Prestige. How should CEOs go about thinking, building an advisory board or indeed leadership team that truly challenges rather than being just a yes?
Yeah, I think it's so beautiful because you don't want to create an echo chamber of just people that are validating your own thoughts. KPMG did a study 20 years ago now that actually diversity brings higher performance in teams. So you do want to bring people that complement you and that will challenge. Because when you say, you don't want to just keep doing the things that you're doing. You have to think outside the box. Business is moving so quickly today. And, the pace of innovation and change, you need that challenge.
Nothing changes if nothing changes. And I've seen it time and time again. People keep getting the same result or they keep agreeing on the same principle. As we need to bring in that new energy that probably are going to, provide feedback, even if it's from a negative or constructive way. And you need to find a way of actually utilising that fuel it to take the business forward. So, Darren, coming back to you, why is it important for people outside of your business who challenge you from a leadership?
Oh, look, it's critically important because, look, everybody can strategize, but sometimes you need to be able to see the wood from trees. And for, like Taraj's point, we've been fortunate enough to bring on some really good board advisors as well as investors. Frank's involved in business, so if one, he's the killer, he knows exactly what he wants and how he wants to go about it. But he also has scale building. He's managed organizations of up to 4, 5, 6,000 people. We're a lean team. Like when I say lean, we're really lean. But he's also able to help bridge the gap from uncertainty to certainty pretty quickly because he's seen where other businesses have made that mistake. We're extremely fortunate to have somebody like him in the business, but I would really encourage everybody in the room, if you're looking for support, use your network, reach out to people. It was a cold outreach to Frank that our engagement started. Then I introduced him to another person on our board. And the main thing is be coachable. Be able to listen to what these seasoned entrepreneurs and CEOs are able to advise you. Unless you're going to be coachable, there's no point having them. So it's a double-edged sword. You want them in, you want their investment, you want their advice. But if you don't listen to it, it's a waste of time as well. So you got to be open to being coached. I think that's the big thing that Frank likes about our business.
It's so true because you almost need to drop your ego, and be humble and be open to being humble because there's a reason you want them in the room. all that expertise and wisdom, and all these are buzzwords, but the reality is they've been there, done that. They can get you so much there faster and so much quicker in a smarter way. So really great point. Thanks for sharing that. Heba, coming back to you, how did you choose? You mentioned a load of people earlier, hugely successful, but how did you choose the advisors and structures that gave Atterbury the strongest foundation?
So Atterbury right now we are 12 years, and our advisors as well, they do change over the period, because at different stage of the business you need different people, and sometimes I'm going to go slightly kind of different in one thing. Sometimes you have to as well trust your instincts and challenge the advisors. And I remember when we bought our factory in Lee, and during COVID, and I had to go all the way to find the right place. At that time, when everybody said, "Oh, this is a big problem. It's a very risky because buildings now all empty. How this is going to scale?" It was actually very crucial for us, and I didn't get too much support at that time. But in the same time, I said, challenge me. It's the time. If we don't do it, we can't scale. We can't go bigger. We have huge amount of challenges as a scale-up to adapt the technology and move on in production. So we're trying to do that. And right now is an opportunity for us to have an amazing building. It's 1886. Used to be factory in Leeds. It's right in the heart of the city, 2 minutes walk from the train station. You can get things across to the Leeds within 2 hours, and you're from door to door. And it great things were like, okay, you're in the right place, you have very good universities, we can actually see it as a home for us. So the support then, okay, what is the challenges, how the challenges easy, how the advisors built it, and they listened to my opinion at that time, and then they said, okay, we're going to have a really hard time to scale up because a huge amount of money is going to go to one part of it, which is the manufacturing, which is this, it did have, and we just have a huge amount of challenge for that. Especially I would say in the UK, you really need to look at manufacturing in different ways. So, and sometimes, and it did work. And I think we trusting your instinct sometimes it really helps as well. It's a challenge to challenge these civil wars surrounding. But during that time, who can help with recruitment? So we've got somebody who is very experienced, and he likes Leo Dickens. They've actually managed to get us very key person, and during that time. We worked with other people on strategic, some of my ex-colleagues in ARM. I called them and it's like, okay, we need that part of the business and that strategy to go in to different markets because we are expanding in the Middle East, we're expanding in the US. So how can we tackle these areas? And the experience as well comes in from these advisors, which is important.
Yeah, you're right. It is right to challenge, and Leeds alumni here, so I'm sold on Leeds. So again, mentor said to me very early on, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Sometimes you have to take responsibility if you're going to challenge, and the people that have come in and back yourself. But equally, if there are people that have got sound advice, make reasonable decisions. Okay, we're going to go to the third and final part of the session. If we do have time, we're a little bit tight time, we will try and take a couple of questions at the end. So if there is something, please do try and get them ready. We're going to go to leading with purpose while staying supported. And Raj, back to you now. Startups are rarely a straight path. I think it's something like that. How do you stay resilient while balancing the weight of expectations from your teams, customers, and as you mentioned, investors?
Yeah, so I think resilience, personally, resilience and probably I'd say consistency are two of the absolute must-have trait founders. If you can't take a no or rejection, don't be a founder. You get that time and time again, either in a funding journey. That's again where your team comes around it and the people advisors. So where you can rely on and lean on people around you. So like if we getting investors, for example, is a really important part of the journey, and having a good relationship with your investors is critical to it. So we can come to them with problems when we have tough moments, and same with the core team as well. So you want to have people you can lean on so that you're supported at all times. And I think that's the thing that gets you through it as well. So you're absolutely right. It's never linear. It's always up and down. You have different problems. And if you have that network, that collective intelligence I talk about, that will help you get through those difficult moments.
Yeah, and as cliche as it sounds, tough times don't last, but tough people do, right? And I think if you can get through those moments, it's beautiful on the other side. Okay, Rebecca, coming to you now, because you're very passionate about diversity and inclusive leadership. How can CEOs lean on communities and networks to help them grow as authentic, purpose-driven leaders?
Yeah, I think it's such an important question. It's so interesting because I think we were having this conversation 10 years ago. Authentic leadership was, wasn't the kind of thing. So for me, it's about, if you're going to show up with purpose and authenticity, it's about how you connect and how are you showing up vulnerably. And I think that's really important for your team to kind of like see that vulnerability, because that's really where the kind of like the magic happens, and you build trust with the team. You make sure that you're not coming across as though you know everything, but it's garnering that kind of community and that support essentially. So, and of course, you've got to be very passionate as a founder with what purposes of what you're doing. So I think that's critical.
Yeah, no, really, really well said. And you do have to be passionate. You genuinely have to believe, because otherwise it will consume and you probably will give up. So I absolutely 100% back that. Okay, Darren, coming back to you, because sustainability is central to your business and brand. So how do you lean on your team and advice to ensure your purpose is delivered authentically and not just as marketing? So a lot of people just chuck it out there and don't actually live by those values.
Yeah, look, it is a lot of marketing people, of course, you do that. We're on a journey, so that's one way of proving that we're actually standing up to the words, that we're holding ourselves accountable. Internally, we have a number of values. Some of them are around transparency, honesty, how we speak to our customers, how we try to educate our customers. So generally, the business just keeps reverting back. So ultimately, at your core, you need to be able to have a certain set of values around sustainability, but also purpose of how you're going to drive your business. If you're able to continue to go back to that, then you're holding yourself responsible. And everybody in the team kind of understands and signs up for the same values as we do as a kind of leadership team. But hopefully, fingers crossed, the B Corp process is a long one, and it's complicated, very, very complicated, but it's definitely stressing our processes and how we even view our supply chain, how we deliver our product, how we hold ourselves accountable. So that's one of the ways. And then again, having the 4 set of values internally that everybody signs up to do so.
Yeah, and it's actions, as it shows credibility. All right, so final question, Diva, I'll come to you. As one of the few women leading in the space of AI and Internet of Things, how have networks helped?
You're trying to kind of join the dots of these networks and how they can shape certain things that you want to do with the business in terms of scaling or going to different markets or doing something totally out of the ordinary. So I never thought of it as I'm there alone. However, the stats, what we see right now, only ever 2% of female business-founded businesses get invested in the UK. If the same foundation and investments it's for female founders or businesses led by females to the counterpart duties mills, we've actually brought into our economy. So there are actually massive stats in that. How can you utilize that? And you need to think about the economy. It doesn't matter. We make half of the population, and AI is used not just by mail, by emails as well. So being an engineer, I love engineering. I love technical things. I love building things. And I think, like a mother of a girl who loves taking technical things, I think it's really encouraging other open-minded and people actually adapting it. And we can see from the university numbers, there are more going into these technical positions as well.
Yeah, and absolutely, we can fully support that. And what an incredible panel. And what I love about moderating things, I always take away lessons and learnings as well. One thing I will say is my favorite piece of advice I was given, the magic we're all looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Maybe you've heard something from one of these speakers today that there's really hit that point. The key is to go and actually take action on that now. Maybe be coming up and speaking to one of these panelists after today's session. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, I think I've got time. Go for it. Your hand up first. I've got time.
Thank you all from the conversations. You've all said that co-founders are hands off to you for doing these solo. What was the process like for bringing on a co-founder? So I'm just interested to see what that journey was like to you and how you brought them on and what their expertise in.
There's no one process because everyone's going to be slightly different. For the three of us that came together the Hydro, one guy, Warren, had the idea. Paul and I had different expertise that come together, and we came together right at the beginning. So you'll sound like you started this and want to bring someone in, it'll be slightly different. We then structured it in terms of me and Warren are going to be doing more of the work going forward, and Paul wouldn't, so he just got he put the money in. How you structure is really, really difficult. There is no one size fits all, but you want to be sure you're comfortable with it going forward. So that's the main thing is, are you and your co-founder happy with the arrangement? And you live with, and there's a whole separate set on co-founder dynamics as well, and terms of what you need, skill set, who you're looking for, how you're going to find that person. Because we've been doing it 6 years together now, we've gone really, really well, but I'm very aware we're really lucky on that. But it's fairness. It's like just the thing you need to look for is, are you and your co-founder really happy in finding a fair deal you got? And then particularly where it's fixity, there's the element of that in it, is everyone adhering to that, because you don't want to go, I'm working the harder and I'll get well led, and that is just really difficult, to be honest.
Yeah, right, great points. So my co-founder is Dr. Brian Carson. So how he came on board with us was we were looking for a consultant at the time. He bought into the idea really aggressively, but got the vision that I had. My suggestion is, if you are actively looking for somebody, maybe bring them on as a consultant, but understand that when you work with them, you don't have to necessarily agree with everything they say. You just see conflict is a good thing, or for diversity of opinion is a really good thing, and then get into the co-founder conversations. That's how our one came about. So he had a piece of work to do. He was leading a lot of the vision around the formulation, how we want to position the product, the science, and added a lot of credibility that I just didn't have. So it's a really tricky one. I'll share some other calls afterwards as well.
Just with one other quick thing on that would be, get some legal advice yourself to make sure it all properly done, so don't get like a template.
As someone who's in that space, I would agree. And I would just add, from actually doing it the wrong way, if you have a co-founder where you have the same idea, that's not the best way to go about it. I think having the same values. So what I mean by that is, you could both want a scale and exit business. You could both potentially want to do this particular segment of the market. But the values are different to that. That will make your top tip culture. People will leave you. You will have terrible turnover. So don't just recruit on the having the same goal. There has to be some base level of value alignment. You could disagree and have challenges, but if the values are completely off, your business will never make it. And that is one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give anybody to get the co-founder wrong. You basically start from scratch again many years down the line. And sorry, I don't think I have time for any more questions, but these guys, I hope to be around afterwards just to take questions. So I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today on day 2 of the conference. And round of applause for our panelists, please.
So there we have it, folks. We have recorded live from the Festival of Entrepreneurs at the Birmingham NEC. It's been an incredible event over the past few days. We've thoroughly enjoyed connecting with entrepreneurs, disruptors, and community builders. I hope you've enjoyed this series. Special shout out to Alex Chisnall, one of the co-founders of the Festival of Entrepreneurs, and his amazing team for putting on an incredible event. We look forward to collaborating with the Festival of Entrepreneurs once again in the future. But for now, for all of us here live, over and out.